Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 8 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. Specifically, how to use my life from the top of the mind philosophy to bring more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. Today I want to look at a quote that I'm sending out to those 6,000 folks on my quote list. By the way, if you ever want to receive one of these quotes each week, all you got to do is go to my website, Ph.D.com, hit the subscribe button. It's free. Put your name, email address, and each week I'll send you one of my favorite quotes and along with a video about how to apply it to life. So this is one of those quotes I found on Pinterest, and I don't know who said it. So if you know who said it, send it to me. I'll be happy to give them credit for the quote. It says, "Don't blame the clowns for acting like clowns. Ask ourselves, why do we keep going to the circus?" Don't blame the clowns for acting like clowns. They're clowns. Ask ourselves the question, why do we keep going to the circus? And I love that because I think it speaks to those of us who find ourselves in similar situations over and over and over. Maybe they're the same kind of relationships, maybe the same kind of jobs, maybe friends with the same kind of people who let us down, who disappoint us, who don't treat us the way we deserve to be treated. And we have a tendency to kind of go, hey man, you're not being the way I want you to be, which is totally understandable, but the problem is that puts the solution out of our hands. So when we are blaming something or someone out there, we are in some ways disempowering our ability to do anything about it. So what I like to do is make sure that I have as much influence over my life as possible, which means I want to take as much responsibility for where I go. Am I going to the circus? Am I going somewhere else? And if I find myself in similar situations, I might go, okay, good information. I want to do that differently in the future. What would I recommend to someone I love? That's always a great question I love that kind of allows us to access what I call the top of the mind. In fact, one of the ways we can look at this whole quote, not just around jobs and relationships and friendships and other external situations, but we can look at it in terms of brain science. For those of you who follow my life from the top of the mind philosophy, you know we got these 3 parts to the brain. Lower part of the brain is called the brainstem. That's where the fight or flight response is. Upper 80% of the brain is called the neocortex. I call it the top of the mind. This is where we have access to our interpersonal skills, problem-solving skills, clarity, confidence, creativity, compassion, etc. Middle brain is called the limbic system. This is the scanner, processor, router part of the brain, and it determines, once it scans data and interprets it, it determines whether it sends it down to the brainstem or up to the neocortex. So I'm asking myself, what if this is the circus? What if this lower brain, where we get frustrated and stressed and angry and annoyed and depressed and worried, what if that's the circus? Why do we keep going to the circus? Why do we keep trusting our fear, our worry, our anxiety, our negative emotions to somehow give us good information about how to create the life we want? Now, not saying worry, fear, anxiety, anger, there's nothing, there's no reason for it. That is a perfect response when we're in a situation where we need either to fight somebody or something to stay safe or run away from something to stay safe. Those are automatic reactions. They bypass the upper 80% of the brain so that we can react without thinking in dangerous situations. The problem is we're going to the circus, we're going to this lower brain in non-dangerous situations, and that has us just feeling more anxious and more stuck and more worried and more angry and more annoyed. That starts to create a cycle where we get stuck in this lower 20% of the brain trying to deal with rather complex personal and interpersonal situations from this very limiting part of the brain. So I guess the question is, why do we keep trusting that part of the brain to give us good information? That's what I mean by why do we keep going to the circus in terms of brain science. So what I think we want to do is decide, okay, if I don't want to go to the circus in terms of brain science, in terms of my anger, frustration, resentment, where do I want to go? And this is where I encourage people to create a list of 20 qualities or characteristics of them at their best. Now, most of my clients go 20. I'm able to do 5, but 20? The reason I want you to do 20 is it kind of overwhelms this middle brain with our own worth and our own value, and it also gives us something to draw upon. So when we're wanting, where do I want to go? If I don't want to go to this circus, where do I want to go? We can look at that list and say, okay, what are the qualities and characteristics I want to bring to life, to this relationship, to this job, to this particular situation? What if I want to access the most influential part of who I am so that then I can influence my experience of life from this clear, confident, creative, powerful part of the brain where we draw upon our wisdom and our experience and our best thoughts. We draw upon what we would recommend to someone we love. So I'm going to take this quote about, why do we blame clowns for acting like clowns? Why do we keep going to the circus? And really begin to look at it in terms of brain science. Let's stop trusting the clowns. Let's stop trusting this lower brain to give us good information about how to deal with the complexities of life, how to create the relationships we want, how to choose the jobs we want, how to make good decisions. Let's make sure we're coming from this upper 80% of the brain. If this is something you'd like me to teach to you or your organization, all you got to do is go to my website, BillCrawfordPhD.com, hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in. Love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, if you're liking these videos, please hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe to me on YouTube. Follow me on Pinterest and LinkedIn and Facebook and all the social media, Twitter. I post one of these each week, and I would love to keep connecting with you if you feel this is valuable. So, in the meantime, here's to you, bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.